Sean bienvenidos todos, mi linda gente hispanohablante. Los principales nominados de Donald Trump acaban de colapsar hace unos días bajo un fuerte contrainterrogatorio dentro del Senado. Y no se pueden perder esto porque senadores demócratas como Elizabeth Warren y Richard Blumenthal los confrontaron con datos reales sobre inflación, fraudes en recaudación de fondos republicanos y preguntas básicas sobre elecciones, y los nominados no pudieron responder con claridad casi ninguna de estas preguntas. Los principales nominados de Donald Trump acaban de colapsar bajo un brutal contrainterrogatorio en el Senado de los Estados Unidos. Primero, quiero mostrarles a la senadora Elizabeth Warren contrainterrogando a Christopher Plina, el nominado de Donald Trump para presidir el Consejo de Asesores Económicos. La senadora Warren lo visera por completo. Miren, por favor.
So, you have a PhD in economics from a very prestigious university. You've been a professor for nearly 30 years. You've taught thousands of students by this point. On paper, you look like someone who should be able to provide objective advice. So I have some questions, and quite frankly, I hope they are really easy questions for you. President Trump promised to bring prices down on, quote, day one. Is headline inflation higher today than it was in February 2025?
Thank you, Senator. Headline inflation now is certainly lower than it was during the Biden administration.
I'm sorry. Come on, let's not play this game. You heard my question. President Trump was sworn in January 2025 under the promise he would lower costs on day one. The question I'm asking is inflation, headline inflation, today higher than it was in February 2025? It's a fact question.
Thank you, Senator. There's a reason economists tend to focus on core inflation, and that is because food and energy is quite volatile.
Okay, can you
core
give
inflation
me
is
the
lower
answer?
than when President
Can
Trump
you
took
give
office.
me, we'll do core. Can you give me the answer on headline inflation? I don't want to know how fast you can dance. I want to know if you can answer simple, factual questions. That's all I'm looking for here.
Thank you, Ranking Member. I do not know exactly what the headline inflation was on January 20th,
2.8%. So answer the question. Is headline inflation higher today than it was in February 2025?
Headline inflation now, the last one was year over year, 4.2%.
Okay, so is 4.2% higher than 2.8%?
Ranking Member, yes, it is.
Oh, wow. Was that so hard? You know, you're going to be the guy called on to give real facts. So let me try another one. Dr. Phelan, is annual inflation higher than wage growth today?
Thank you, Ranking Member. There has been, since President Trump took office, weekly inflation-adjusted earnings are higher now than they were the day President Trump took office.
The question I asked you is inflation higher than wage growth right now? In other words, even if families are getting raises on average, are they falling behind because of inflation?
Thank you, Ranking Member. I do think it's important to have an appropriate time frame when considering anything like this.
That's your time frame.
An appropriate time frame is when President Trump took office.
The question is, I just want a fact.
Inflation-adjusted wages are lower than they are now.
Today, are families getting ahead or falling behind? You got one word to answer that. What's your word?
My word is at. Real wages are higher now. Real wages are higher now.
All right, let's
than they
play
were
it this
at
way.
the beginning of Trump's
administration. You've already told me inflation is 4.2%, right? What's the annual wage growth right now? It's just a fact question.
Thank you, Senator. I do not have that in front of me right now.
It's 3.4%. So let's put this one together. Is 4.2 higher than 3.4?
I will repeat what I said, which is real wage growth in this administration is positive.
It is right now, families are falling behind. And I got to say, I can keep this one up, fact after fact, but you have now made clear what your position is. And that is, you can't even do the basic facts. I didn't even get to the hard questions here about what this means. I just want to start with what the facts are. These are facts that come out of the Trump administration. They're there for anybody to see. And you can't bring yourself as the person who sits there and says, I want to be the head of the Council of Economic Advisors. Oh, I'm sorry, to give objective economic advice. And you can't even say, yeah, inflation is running higher than wages right now.
And we're still going to try to keep it on behalf of the chairman to 5 minutes.
Fair enough. I think this person has disqualified himself in 5 minutes.
And on behalf of...
A continuación, quiero compartir con ustedes al senador Whitehouse acribillando al nominado del Departamento de Justicia de Donald Trump, alguien a quien Donald Trump quiere como fiscal general adjunto, y Whitehouse, junto a otros en el Senado de los Estados Unidos, consiguieron los tweets de este sujeto y lo confrontaron con los tweets que ha estado enviando sobre senadores, sobre Kamala Harris e incluso sobre Donald Trump, donde ha estado diciendo cuánto básicamente odia a todo el mundo, y el tipo se quedó básicamente mudo de la impresión. Quiero que vean esto, por favor.
You have tweets that call Donald Trump and Kamala Harris two clowns. You have tweets that call Senator Murkowski almost as dumb as Kamala. You have tweets that call Senator Collins a fraud. You have tweets that call Senator Padilla, who sits on this committee, a thug. You have tweets that call Senator Schiff a fraud. He also sits on this committee. And you undertook no preparation to face questions about that as you come before the Senate Judiciary Committee?
No, Senator.
You didn't tell the Department of Justice about those tweets?
Senator, I tweet and respond to tweets or repost tweets regularly and frequently.
But you know the stuff is going to be looked at. It gets looked at all the time in hearings. Our expert is Senator Kennedy, but other senators ask questions about people's tweets as well. You're telling me here that you never disclosed to the Department of Justice these tweets about senators who would have to vote on your nomination. And you're telling me that DOJ, as far as you know, didn't even know about them.
I'm telling you that the DOJ never raised these with me.
And you never disclosed them to the DOJ?
No.
Well, let's start with Senators Padilla and Schiff. Do you know what state they represent?
California.
Yeah. And California will very likely be submitting applications for various grant programs to the Office of Justice Programs. Correct?
I would expect.
Yeah. And having called Senator Padilla a thug at least 5 times and Senator Schiff a fraud, what reasonably could they expect about you giving California programs a fair hearing if you're put in charge of OJP?
Every state and every jurisdiction would expect that they would go through the process of applying for grants with the Office of Justice Programs, and those grant applications would be administered and reviewed through the process of the department.
Yeah, that's what they would expect. And then there'd be a guy at the head of the program who thinks that the senators involved are a thug and a fraud. How do you convince us that you're not going to let that personal bias against these 2 individuals affect your judgment about California programs, particularly programs that, we often write in letters saying, we work with this program. We think they do a good job. Please give it every due consideration consistent with your responsibilities. That's a pretty standard thing. How do you respond to a letter from somebody you've called a thug or somebody you've called a fraud when they support a program that you're asked to decide on?
Because I believe that the Office of Justice Programs has a mission to support the entire country, every state and every city, and protect our communities, irrespective of the elected leadership that exists there today or tomorrow.
So just trust me, I guess, is what you're saying.
Well, trust the fact that I have been in the private sector and I was a practicing lawyer for a long time, and I will administer these funds as a good steward for the taxpayers of this country and ensure that they reach the ultimate recipients and the beneficiaries, which are our communities, our law enforcement, victims of crime, our juvenile system.
So why should Judge Boasberg, the chief judge of the DC Circuit, be impeached?
I don't have an opinion on Judge Boasberg.
You had one when you twice said that he should be impeached on tweets.
So, Senator, I suspect that you're quoting retweets or comments to other tweets. It would be
Look,
nice to have.
No, they're your tweets. You're the one who's responsible for them. You're responsible for knowing what you said. Don't put it on us to have to explain to you your own tweets. This is your mess, not ours. You're the one who tweeted impeach him. If you can't explain that, that's on you. But my general question is, why should Judge Boasberg be impeached? Whether you tweeted it or retweeted it, you obviously thought he should be impeached. Why?
It would be helpful for me to see the context of the tweet.
You're the one who's supposed to be ready for these hearings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Y luego tuvimos al senador Richard Blumenthal interrogando y contrainterrogando implacablemente a uno de los nominados judiciales de Donald Trump, alguien que de hecho es un juez actual que va a ser elevado a una posición judicial más alta a la que Donald Trump quiere que vaya. Y el senador Whitehouse nuevamente lo hizo. El senador Whitehouse le hizo al otro sujeto preguntas básicas. El senador Blumenthal hizo algunas preguntas realmente básicas también. Déjenme mostrarles lo que pasó. El senador Blumenthal literalmente lo acribilla. Miren, por favor.
That question about both 2020 and 2016, it would be inappropriate for me as a...
Well, let me just call your attention to what she actually said. And as a judge, I know you want to be careful when you cite another judge. She was asked whether she had ever commented on the results. She wasn't asked about the results. I'm asking you about the results of the 2020 election. Who won it?
So the question is slightly different, but the answer, I think, is...
Well, the answer is the same because you've been told what the answer is when you prepared, correct?
No, I was not told what to say.
You prepared with the White House before you came here, did you not?
I prepared like I think all nominees do with the Justice
How many
Department.
times did you meet with the White House?
I never met with the White House after I went through the interview process.
Well, in your response to the question that was asked you, you said, I have been in communication with individuals in the Department of Justice regarding the nomination process. Are they the ones who prepared you?
I did engage with Justice Department, yes.
And they gave you the canned answer that has been provided by all the other judicial nominees here. Let me ask you, who won the popular vote in the 2020 election? Simply a matter of fact.
Again, as Justice Jackson explained, commenting on a matter of political debate like that is inappropriate for a sitting judge.
Your Honor, Judge, you have a lifetime job right now, correct?
I do.
Nobody can take it away from you. You have the independence right now to say what really factually happened in the 2020 election, and you are evading that question with the same scripted, canned answer that everyone nominated so far recently has given. I think the American people ought to be deeply disappointed, and members of this committee. Let me ask you, would you recommend that my colleagues who voted against Justice Jackson's nomination of the United States Supreme Court also vote against you?
Anybody who based their decisions solely on that answer, perhaps.
Let me ask you about the January 6th incident. Would you agree the Capitol was attacked on January 6th?
I would agree that individuals, from the videos I've seen, a number of individuals attacked police officers, engaged in violence, vandalism.
Well, an attack on police officers who were guarding the Capitol is an attack on the Capitol, correct?
So as I as I said, individuals engaged in attacks on police officers, which I clearly condemn. More broadly characterizing the events of that day beyond what a number of individuals did, I think would put me in the same position as Justice Jackson when asked about the same events, which is that commenting on
whether the United States Capitol, our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power, was attacked on January 6th is not going to be answered by you because you think Justice Jackson wouldn't have commented on it?
Well, she in fact gave the same answer to that as she did about the elections, and the reason is that the broader characterization of what happened that day beyond what individuals I've seen is a matter of public debate. That
was Donald Trump attacked on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania?
Someone attempted to assassinate him. Yes.
Was he attacked?
I suppose you could characterize an assassination attempt as an attack.
How about an attempted assassination of the Capitol Police?
As I said,
had an attack on the Capitol?
As I said, the individuals who engaged in violence against officers, I think you could say, attacked those officers. More broadly characterizing the events of that day is a matter of political
I'm
debate.
willing to say that if I were in your courtroom and I gave these kinds of answers to you as a judge on the federal bench, you would throw me out of your courtroom. And I'm disappointed that you're not willing to be more forthcoming as to the facts here, because one of the key questions about any nominee for the federal bench is independence of mind and action. You'd agree that's an important quality, wouldn't you?
I do.
Thank you.
Y bueno amigos, acabamos de llegar al final de este video, espero de todo corazón que les haya gustado. Si fue así, por favor déjenmelo saber en los comentarios. Recuerden que si les gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, si les gusta saber qué está pasando realmente en el país, les va a encantar suscribirse al canal, ya que subo videos como estos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarlos diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.